Hi, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. This is Monday, May the 29th. This will serve as our chart lesson for today. It wasn't a great trading day. There were a few trades, but it was pretty much there just wasn't a whole lot going on till we had a nice move down here, but it was really hard one to catch. Actually, I missed a spot right here. There was an entry right here to the short side as well, and I forgot. I didn't put that one back on there. And that's a breakout pullback short, but we'll get to that in a minute. But let me show you the entries. Here's your trend line for the day. We really were in this trading range here. So it wasn't, and right in here, even though we had this trend line, it wasn't clear that we weren't going to turn and come back down here. But when we had this little trap, a little short trap, the odds are we're going to make a new high. And that's exactly what happened. And usually it's two legs, and so one leg and then two leg would have been right in here somewhere. But we did go a little bit higher, and then we sold off. But here's your trend line. Here's your first break right here. This is good enough for a break. But we know not to really be looking for shorts yet. We need to be thinking for longs. And even though it was a little scary going long right here because the resistance was further up here by that time. So there's enough room to scalp out either entering here, or you got a signal bar right here and a signal bar right here. So you could have entered above one or both of those. And then this was a breakout pullback long from all those highs right there. And you can see that. You got your breakout, you pulled back, and you just tested the trend line again. And because it's coming off the trend line, it's a good entry. And it's another good move up. Thinking that you'll get another leg, at least like this leg right here. And let's just measure that and see how close that was. I'm thinking it was pretty doggone close. There's leg one, and you see there's leg two, and we didn't go much higher than that at all. And the reason we went higher is because people were looking to hit the upper side of that trend channel line, and that's what we did. And you can see then it was the sell-off was in motion. And I marked this short here. This is really a breakout pullback short. This one was really, really iffy. And in fact, I probably shouldn't have marked it, but I took it, so I marked it. I felt like, hey, if I saw it, maybe some other people did. But if you didn't take this trade, I can understand why. And some of you might have got trapped to the long side here. But I was really looking for prices to sell on off. I was looking for them to come back and at least test this area right here. But we went right on through that, then came back and tested it from the lower side. And that's really a second entry short right there, but I didn't mark it because it's just not a great setup because we didn't even get back to the EMA or the trend line. So you want to usually at least see prices get back to the EMA, but I'm getting ahead of myself there. So I think we ended up right here. This is actually one leg takeoff again and two legs. This is actually a two-legged pull back to the EMA, the trend line. So this was a great setup. Again, if you went short here, I marked it because I took it, but it was kind of risky, and you see it took a little while to work out before it worked out, and but it did come off that trend line again, and so it was a good short. And then this was a sure enough breakout pullback short. You can see your closes were all right along in there, even if you had it right there, which is probably more realistic. And it's coming off the trend line again. And this was the trade of the afternoon. This was a really good move right here. It's probably the best move of the day. If you had any runners, they were easily safe. Your runners were good here, here, and here. So hopefully you caught some runners on that. This is a two-legged pullback to the EMA in a very strong sell-off here. So you figure you're going to at least get another scalp out of that. Once we got down here, it was just too many overlapping bars. The trend line was way up here, and you should have probably copied this and brought it down here by now. And if you did, it was, prices are running along through here somewhere. And so it's really risky going long out all those overlapping bars or going short, and you don't want to be going long yet. So it's better off just to skip all this. And then what we had right here was we had kind of a double top right there, right across here, and we broke out of that and failed. But the better thing was we came off the trend line. There's no break yet, and so this was a nice short, and this got just enough to get a scalp, and then it pulled back and took out any break-even runners, and then ran to a new low, and This was a reversal. You could have gone long here because you figure we're coming back to here. Because we hadn't had a trend line break yet, this is a very risky trade to take long, so that's why I didn't mark it. I wouldn't have taken it. But it was a trap because we broke below all this strong support, and we also had the support from earlier. So if you took that trade, it's not necessarily a bad trade, but it just wasn't a really good setup. And of course it worked because it did have the shorts trap down here. And it was a nice short trap. That's the only reason I'm talking about it, but I didn't mark it because I think it was too risky because there'd been no trend line break here yet. And this was the first trend line break. And usually you come back and get a retest of some kind, and there was no retest of all. This thing just took off, and there was a long entry here, and I believe there was one more. It's too late in the day for that one, but this is definitely a two-legged pullback to the EMA, a double bottom. So this was worth taking right here, and you should have had your trend line on here too if you were trading this, and would have been something like that, but probably more like that right there. And really the trend didn't start till right in here, and that's your real trend line right there. We're kind of in a trading, we're back in that trading range down here, and so looking at it like that, I don't know if I like that trade or not, but it is a two-legged pullback to the EMA, and prices are working up now. So if you took it, no problem. It wasn't a bad trade. It was, I didn't mark it because it's not a great trade, but I probably would have been taking that if I'd been trading. So thinking that prices were at least coming back up here to test these last highs up in here. So that was pretty much it for today. And again, I said I was going to keep this short today, and I am. And I'm just going to leave that up there so anybody wants to come back and look at the trades. Of course, you can replay the video, but maybe you just want to get a good look. But again, you got your trend line, you got your break, you got your move to a new high, a couple of legs, and then one fail. And then the final leg was a failure, and then it was off to the races to the downside. We got our first break of the trend line right here, but prices went higher instead, and sometimes that happens. And nothing's written in stone, but normally once you get a trend line break, but I'm thinking that most people didn't see this as a trend. This was more of a trading range day, and they saw this as prices coming off the low end of the trading range, and so they were going back to test the high again, and that's exactly where prices went, right up to test the high, and you can see that right there. And so hopefully you saw that, and you gotta keep all your options in play, and nothing's ever written in stone, but generally your rules are going to hold true on the trend line break about 90% of the time. And so keep that in mind. And but I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. This is probably the shortest chart lesson I've done in a long time. Only 8 minutes here, a little over 8 minutes. So hope everybody had a good holiday, extended weekend. Hopefully you took a break or used it to study. And I'll see you tomorrow.